what would you tell someone else who's like in a similar situation or started in a similar situation to you? What would your advice to them be?
So the first thing is especially if you're going to count calories, the first couple of weeks, just accept it. You'll be miserable because especially if you didn't think you ate a lot before,
Mm-hmm.
the second you start putting every single little thing in, you start to see how it adds up.
Mm-hmm.
And in the beginning, you might have to give up some things that you like.
Like the ice cap?
Because,
Like an ice cap?
An ice cap, yes. I love milk and, but the calories, like it just, for instance, I found I easily drank my calories in the beginning at first. But yeah, so I would say expect to be miserable, or it will be hard.
A little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah. But you'll get, give yourself the couple weeks, let yourself be miserable. But stick with it because you start to see the pattern. And that's when especially like I'm speaking more from the calorie point of view, because like the working out, you do it. You got to find what you like, what activity you like, and do it. And your interests might change. You don't have to go crazy to the point that you're going to hurt yourself. Just having that physical activity is going to help. Go for walks. If you can't work out, like I didn't get to work out tonight, but I'm going to go for a walk tonight. But when it comes to counting the calories, just understand that it will be hard at first, but stick with it because you lose the first 5 pounds. It was a matter of weeks before I started to see, okay. And maybe in the beginning, you're not going to see the change. Maybe you're going to rely a little bit more on the scale in the beginning.
But like visual change.
Yeah. Right. But and I wasn't doing photos every week. So depending on where you start, it may be worthwhile to do those photos every week. Yes. Because if you do see it, and I think that was it, like when I saw that photo less than 2 months after I started, and I could see how my abs had changed, it was like, wow. Looked at the back and I'm like, oh, okay, that little, back fat was disappearing. And then when you start to see those changes, those will, I think, be enough motivation to keep going. And by the time you see those changes, you'll find yourself getting into a routine with your eating.
This is why sometimes action precedes motivation, because sometimes you have to just start doing it before you get enough motivation and you don't see something that actually continues to motivate you to go forward.
Well, and that's why I like, and maybe, I don't know, maybe it's the wrong thought, but maybe that's when, if you lose that pound or 2 on the scale, that will show up sooner than seeing your body fat going down. Or like if you take a picture. You may not see that change in your body as quickly as looking at the scale and saying, okay, 2 pounds this week, 2 pounds next week. But then when you see it in the picture, then it changes everything.
That just motivates you even more.
Yeah. And depending on the time of year, like if you're going, this was back in the spring, going into the summer, it's like, okay,
Beach
you're
ready.
Gonna do it. This is the time to do it. Bathing suit weather coming.
Yeah. And it's important to look at more than one measurement, exactly like you're saying. You're looking at body fat, you're looking at the scale, you're looking at clothing, you're looking at photos, right? So you're looking at more than one thing.
And yeah, you're right. I remember the time when the pants started to not fit. They were a little bit loose. And those, yeah. I've never been one to focus a lot on the scale because I don't think there's, you could look at 2 different people who weigh the exact same weight, could be the same height, weigh the exact same, but look different. people carry their weight in different ways.
Correct.
So I don't think, I don't think necessarily weighing a certain amount isn't, but I know there's the BMI, but I tried not to think, okay, my ideal weight is X. I
Mhm.
never saw it as, okay, I want to weigh this much weight, because at the same time I wanted to gain muscle mass. So I knew, well, if I lose the body fat, but I gain the muscle mass, then that, the weight's not gonna change. So I didn't focus on wanting to be 140 pounds. That was my goal. I never focused on that.
Yeah.
I focused on, I would look at the body fat and then the muscle mass. I looked at those two numbers instead of the actual weight.
That's a very important point, I think, not to fixate one data point, but also that the ones that mean a little bit more specific to your goal too.
Yeah.